everybody. How are you? Welcome to Let's Talk Tuesday. My name is Laurie. Today I'm with the wonderful, incomparable, amazing Miss Julia Baly. She is a stress management, health, and wellness coach for educators. Thank you very much, Miss Julia, for coming. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Laurie. I am so honored to be here with you.
Thank you. I know you have a very busy schedule. I appreciate you taking the time with me on Let's Talk Tuesday. So today we will start. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
So I am, as you mentioned, a stress and health and wellness coach for educators, and that comes from my 25 years of experience in the field, half of which was as a teacher and the other half as a school leader in administration in high school in New York City. And it came out of just sort of my own challenges of my own health and wellness journey through the process, wanting to always mentor teachers. Like, that is my absolute heart. But I went through some of my own health challenges during the process. And so I went on to studying in health and wellness for integrative nutrition, stress management certified, emotional eating certified. So all of those things that I was challenged with. And then just looking back and saying, what is the formula and how do I support teachers, because they are leaving the field in droves because they are stressed. And there are formulas, there are ways in which to get this done, all of which I was able to support teachers with during my time as an administrator. And I just want to be able to continue that work, especially with the additional levels of expertise and studying and researching that I've done. I just want to be there to continue to work with teachers and support teachers, because ultimately they also are impacting our current and future generation.
True. Thank you. Thank you for that. I did notice teachers were leaving a lot. I just thought it because the kids were bad. I know it's a stressful job, but I know some kids are bad these days, and it's way different than before. But
the kids are definitely challenging, and I can tell you from my years of expertise as well, as being an administrator for over 10 years, one of the things as well too is allowing students to be able to be a stakeholder in their school community makes a huge difference in whether or not a school can be successful or not. So inviting students to the table as a stakeholder definitely impacts, but I know that the behaviors are so much more challenged because they were somewhat undisciplined for a couple of years of figure it out, do it yourself, log on, don't log on. And so it's almost like we are reintroducing our students to education, what that means, what that looks like, and the importance. But I do feel like there is an element that's currently missing, which is inviting them to the table.
Yes. I currently live in Connecticut, and I was in Massachusetts, and I noticed the difference in the school system immediately when I got here. This school system here in Connecticut, I'm in Vernon, it actually understands that kids have going on at home. Like Massachusetts did not. Like, I know there's kids, my son would tell me horror stories of these kids would lose their parents and the next day, or they miss a day and they get yelled at because they left, but they say my parent died and they didn't care. Like, they had no feelings. Down here, I've noticed that the student or the educational system understands that crap happens at home, and sometimes that crap comes to school, and they try to give them support. They've got to adjust.
Because at the end of the day, they're human, and that's what we all want. We all want that support at every level in our life. Yes. It doesn't matter where we are. Yeah.
I have noticed that. And the teachers will reach out, like, even not a bad thing, but hey, I noticed a little off. Is he okay? Like, they actually care, and has made a change in my son's life. My older two struggled. This one's doing okay. But he goes, the teachers get me. And I'm like, thank God.
Thank God.
Because the first two, it's so hard.
So you're warming my heart right now, Laurie.
It is. It's nice. Because I'm that parent that will go to the school. I'm not that parent, but I will show up and advocate for my children, because you have to, especially if you're kids of color. You have to advocate, but in the right way. Because if you go up there the wrong way, they kind of push you out and you're labeled. But I would go up the right way. I always was, hi, I'm here. Here's my number. If you need me, call me. I always gave them the ability to reach out to me if there was an issue, and to help understand them, because it is stressful being an educator, because all kids come from different. It's very stressful.
It is very
And
stressful.
then if you have your own life stuff, then you have double stress. So I appreciate and thank you for that. Maybe we can help heal some of these teachers and they'll come back, or heal the teachers and we can create a whole new different educational forum.
That is my goal. That is my goal, because that's what I do. You know, I work with them on that personal and professional. It's not just the professional. So there's that element of helping them to unlock and understand the system and how to access their students. But then there's also that personal side of allowing them to get that time and joy back so that they want to be in the profession. And so that's sort of like the main element of where I'm working from is, how do I get you your time and joy back so that you enjoy this again? Because I think I've seen a lot of educators and they've somewhat fallen out of the love and the passion of why they originally got into the career field as well. But it's just, there's so many hoops to jump through. So let me help you figure out how to jump through those hoops so that you're not at home stacking, grading papers and planning for 24 hours.
Right.
And I think all of that supports them in having that joy, because now I've gotten that thing that, you know, you're the expert on, especially self-care. Like I've taken the time out to take care of me and my needs so that I can actually be there and be 100% there for my kids. And that's one of the things that I believe is completely missing from the system, is that sometimes we give teachers an app and we say, you know, you can breathe, or you can follow DIY, do it yourself, or but it's not built into their time. It's not built into their day. It's not a forgiving process where they can actually go through it during real time, either with their colleagues or with themselves. It's kind of like you figure out your self-care and your well-being on your own.
Right. And that's not fair to them, because they're already trying to figure out the grade time, the teaching time, the scheduling time, the preparing time. Now you want me to create self-care time. And we all know, as women in general, self-care is always the last thing that we do because we take care of everybody else first.
Right.
And so that's my soapbox, continue to take care of you first. Because even on the airplane, they say put the mask on yourself before you help somebody else.
Yes.
We don't, as women, especially women of color, do not put the mask on ourselves at all. We put it on everybody else but us. And then when they're happy and fine and healthy, and we're waiting for them to put the mask on us, they just walk away. Oh, thank you, peace. And you're like, what I was trying to get you healthy so you could turn back and take care of me. You know, I was trying to get you up on your feet so you could take some of the load, and they walk away. I'm like, no.
It's like, I'm good now. Thank you so much for your help.
Right. Thank you. I'm all right.
Thank you for the mask. I appreciate it.
Exactly. Thank you for the mask. Appreciate it. You are correct. You're correct. How do you, I think you've told me, well, I'll ask this anyway. What are you most passionate about?
I am most passionate about mentoring teachers, like supporting them. But like I said, as an administrator, one of the things that I always did was I wasn't that cookie cutter model person. So we sat down and we talked about challenges that you were having at home with your kids. And, you know, we sat down and we talked about, okay, I'm having this health concern and I'm not 100% sure where to go, or I am overloaded because I've collected all of these assignments from my kids and I can't get through it. Like, what am I doing wrong? And so I covered the full gamut of, like, I had a social worker that was just there for my teachers. I had a staff member that, as I was making myself like salad, I had like these salads that I would make. I'd bring her one every single day because I know that she had 2 girls to take care of first thing in the morning. She didn't have time. There was no way. So whatever they needed for health and wellness, beyond. So beyond you being there to provide in the classroom, because like I said before, we talked about before, we're all human. So if I can support taking care of your basic needs,
right,
and if you can be a stakeholder and a part of what is currently happening in your environment, then you're bought in. You have pride, you want to come to work, you want to be there for yourself, you want to be there for your kids. And so mentoring and coaching is the heart of what I love doing for teachers, because there are so many answers out there that they are not aware of. and just being in the system for as long as I've been in the system, and just connecting with other people in different places and sharing, ideas and things that I do, and just realizing that it's helping teachers, I want to help more. And so coaching teachers is, that personal and professional together, not in isolation. As one, that's my jam.
That's beautiful. Even asking that question, how are you today? Like even asking them that personal question can relieve a lot of stress, because sometimes they just need to get it out because they're holding everything in, and they just need to get it out with another person that understands. So
we even had we had this thing in our school community. It was awesome because we make this assumption that because someone is standing in front of you, that they're present and they want to talk to you. And so we had this school community thing where you had to ask someone, is now a good time? Now that may seem so simple, but it was so impactful in the long run. Before you get into someone's personal space, especially because you're bombarded with 30 students at any given time that you can't control them being in your space. They don't understand that boundary. But as colleagues, we gave each other that space and that boundary to say, is now a good time? Oh my gosh, it was magic, Laurie.
Wow.
It was magic. They loved it, so everyone was on board with that. You heard it everywhere in the building, to the point where the students was like, Miss, what's this? Is now a good time? And I explained it to the kids. And then some of the kids started asking the teachers, hey, I see that you're on a break now. Is now a good time? Can I come in and ask? And I was, it started to, and that just respect of boundaries, just, you're like, oh my gosh. And then it didn't matter if I was the principal, it applied to me as well. If I knocked on your door and I said, is now a good time? And you're like, is this a 2-minute conversation or a 20-minute conversation? And I'm like, okay, this is going to take longer than 2 minutes. I'll come back. There were no hard feelings because it became the school culture and the norm. Can I tell you the weight that it lifted? Like just that one thing.
Yes, because you can express yourself, no, now is not a good time. And then you can schedule the time when you are available versus being bombarded with more information because you're already overloaded and you're not going to listen anyway. You can't comprehend it because you're already overloaded with your brain going around doing 50-50 things.
Bingo. And we were just setting simple boundaries, just setting up simple boundaries. But like those are the things that, I've supported teachers with being able to do either individually or as a school community.
Yes. And boundaries in life, boundaries in general are very, very important for life.
Yes.
Regardless of what you're doing, you need to set your boundaries in your life so that it kind of lets people know where you stand, but also helps protect yourself. You have to put boundaries up. And a lot of us don't. That's why we get overwhelmed because we say yes to everything. We talked about that before, but boundaries are very, very important. I believe your program, just in general, just with the teachers alone, could go nationwide. It really could. I think I see a nationwide program or sweep all across the country of how to help support our educators. So
thank you, and I welcome that. Thank you very much.
Yes. Prophesied that for you. I'm going to put that out there.
I'm receiving it.
Yes, receive that, because I think that's something that would definitely change. What would you tell your younger self?
Ooh, let me see. If my current self can go back, I'm telling you, I would have implemented more in my own life of what I was helping my teachers to be able to achieve. Okay. So just in terms of like managing the administrative pieces, like the paperwork, it never goes away. Like it's never ending. Like I came up with a saying where I said, the school year stops, it never ends. But I can say it, but the application for myself was very different. But I had an entire community that understood. Like they were like, nope, she said the school year stops, it never ends. This is what I can do. I would sit down with them and come up with these plans so that they would be successful, especially new teachers for the school year. But I think I would have just honed in and walked more of what I was taught. I think that would have long-term would have supported me because, as I mentioned, in a prior conversation as we were having before, I was diagnosed with stress a half a dozen times. And so if I had walked my talk, I believe that my health conditions that ultimately, came to fruition, even though I've been able to, thank God, have everything under control and be in good health now, but I could have probably avoided that entire cycle or seasons in my life. So yeah, definitely doing more of what I was, supporting my teachers with doing and supporting my colleagues with doing. Yeah.
And of all the things you have done and produced and created thus far, what are you most proud of for Julia?
Oh, well, I will definitely say there are about 3 things that I could tag right now. I'm proud of making decisions that I've made for myself, because I know, I always say the second half of my life should be better than the first half of my life. But I didn't have, saying it and doing it are 2 different things.
Yes,
but now I have that practice in place to be able to live the second half of my life better than I even lived the first half of my life. So that I'm very proud of. I'm proud of, the fabulous young lady that my daughter has grown into. And I'm also very proud of the work that I've done in education. I took, for example, just one example is I took a school that was failing at 50% and had, like I said before, brought students to the table, made them a stakeholder in their school. And, a whole bunch of other changes, of course, but then took it to an 80% school, but took it to a school, aside from the numbers, it was a school that they had pride in. It was a school that the staff had pride in. And I think for me, that was a win, because I was in an inner city school environment. And so to get that win in an inner city school environment where the kids had given up on the school, the staff had given up on the school, the community had given up on the school. And to be able to get that win, I would definitely say, that those are treasured moments for me.
Thank you. That is beautiful. It is when students do care. As this younger generation has tuned in, they're a little bit more tuned in on certain things. And I hear my son came in there, he was a little upset about a teacher. He went to a teacher for an issue in the school and the teacher did nothing. He said, I just lost respect for him. He goes, why? He's like, because you have to give respect to get respect. And I looked at him and he's like, I know you feel the same way. He goes, but I'm human too. And if I go to you with a problem, you could at least respect the fact that there was a problem and say something. And all he told us was to grow up. I'm like, And that's how they make you feel, because I feel like he didn't hear me. So students want to be heard. That you implemented that and let them come to the table as well, probably did a lot for them, more than just being in the school system and probably at home, because they felt heard. When you feel heard, you feel justified, you feel accepted, and it makes you want to do more in trying to resolve the situation. So thank you for knowing that or figuring that out early enough so that they can feel heard, and hopefully they'll continue to let others feel heard as well, and start to change that dynamic.
Lifelong, whatever I always tell them, I said, it's not about the you in front of me, it's your future self that I'm concerned about. And so once you can impact that future self, you're not shifting just a household, you're shifting a community, you're shifting a generation. They're going to then take that with them and impact wherever they go. So that was always my lens. That was always my vision.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What is your favorite quote and why?
Oh, favorite quote. Do I have a favorite quote? I don't know if I have a favorite quote, but I've recently just come up with sort of like an affirmation that I tell myself on a consistent basis. It's just through my own sort of we all have our challenges that we've come through in life.
Yes.
And I just remind myself on a daily basis that I am loved. I'm loved. And because I am loved, I can receive love and I can give love. So that's just, for me, that's a constant just reminder of the place and space that I'm currently in.
That's beautiful. That's part of that change in that DNA.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, I've heard students or children because I try to stay with the young kids a little bit, but I've heard them say, well, I don't know if my parents love me. I haven't felt that my parents love me. And I can't even imagine that. I'm like, what? And it kind of throws me off. And I'm like, and then it makes me think of what do they think that love feels or looks like too? Like,
Yeah.
what is their version of love? So I used to hear this thing about people may not be able to love you. Just because people can't love you the way you want to be loved doesn't mean they don't love you. And that made me go, Because how you see love between the movies and the internet and all that other stuff, you get this whole idea of what love is supposed to be, and it's really not that at all. Like totally opposite. Loving someone is putting up with their ish. Loving someone is dealing with them in their worst. Loving someone is being able to go through the terror and all the other stuff and still be there. It's not all this fantasy love. That's some of it, but that the groundwork is that base part. So that's what your name too we need to bring for people and our children is what is your version of love versus what real love is. Like how
I think you said it already. I think you already touched on it. Like when you spoke about your son, it's that knowing that I matter, knowing that someone cares enough to respect and listen to what I have to say and that I'm valued.
Yes.
And that's really all my students and my staff ever wanted. I always had years of my own challenge of seeing that for myself. But as I shifted that DNA, that's when I was just like, no, but you are loved, you are loved, and you're able to receive and give. And I realized that's what the students say. They were just like, wow, we feel like we have a voice, like this is an environment, like we feel loved, we feel warm. So that's how they felt, coming into their own environment. And I think you just touched on it. Like that's what people want. Basic human need. That's what we want.
That's what we want. They're not shown at all, but the internet and all this other stuff, it's like it's nothing near that. And I'm like, poor kids and people get so lost being stuck on this thing for 24 hours a day. I think I'm glad that I'm older where we didn't have cell phones and all that stuff. It came later. So we learned how to communicate with your mouth. You had to open your mouth up and talk and say, if you had to dispute, you had to talk it out or fight it or whatever, but at least you had to have that human contact. Now everything's over phone. You don't know the person, you don't see them, you just lashing out. Everyone's very angry and upset. So that shift in DNA needs to kind of go worldwide too. So you got another thing you need to work on. Yeah, I'm just prophesying. I'm just giving you stuff. You got another thing.
Well, you're giving me a laundry list now.
No, I do. You got it. You've got that curve. You can do that. Most definitely. So are there any projects you're currently working on, or that you think the audience know about, and give us some of your, if you're on social media, any of your social media handles, any programs, anything like that. So
I actually do have a free masterclass coming up for educators on March 11th. And that's on my Instagram, which is my name, Julia Baly.
Okay.
So that's my Instagram, and that's something that they can register for, and that's on March 11th. And then I'm in a summit on March 18th, which they can also get on my Instagram, Julia Baly, and that's for mompreneurs and stress management for mompreneurs. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna be on that one.
So I have that. I also have my, this is my 21 days, which you can get on my website, journal. And that's at jfinityhealth.com, JFINITY health.com. And that's an interesting, that journal actually came about because I was sort of like transitioning from sort of like that traditional to starting my own business. And there was some sort of like pain that went along with that transition, and
talk about
wanting to prevent myself from spiraling into depression. I started this journey for myself and then decided to share it with others. It's sort of like, how do we make that shift and do one thing at a time? And so that's the concept behind the journal. It's like, it's not a quick fix. It's, I want to be able to shift and change a specific behavior. And I want to have compassion and time for myself to do it. And so it takes you through a cycle, and then you make adjustments, and then it takes you through cycle 2. And then cycle 3 is where that becomes now more that ingrained habit, because we have this concept that everything changes in 21 days. but not really. So it takes you through a series of cycles of 21 days, until it becomes a habit. So I do have that book, and that's available at my website for purchase. And I do one-on-one coaching.
Great. Thank you. You're a powerhouse of information. I feel that you are definitely going to not even change educators, but just people over the country and across the globe, because you have that message of changing that DNA. That's definitely something that a lot of us need to do, including myself. I'm in a slow starting process, but there's more work to do always. You always got to work on yourself. Work on you is never done.
And give yourself the accolades for the steps that you've already taken, because that's the other thing that we don't do as women is, I heard someone say at one point in time, we have to stop and not wait for others to give us the accolades, and give ourselves the accolade, because we know better than anyone where we started and where we are now.
Exactly.
And whatever those small shifts are, it doesn't matter how small it is. I'm getting up 5 minutes earlier so that I can breathe in the morning. I'm leaving work on time so that I can breathe in the afternoon or get a healthy meal or whatever it is. Doesn't matter how small it is. Just give yourself the accolades for what you've accomplished.
Thank you. Thank you again for being with me today. Thank you for doing this Let's Talk Tuesday. You guys have a good weekend. Please look up for her. Please check the journal out. The seminars are wonderful. Touch base with her, and I will put the information in the link. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie. It's a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you.